Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Nashtiprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 10, Divisions of the Creation, text number 9 onwards. Etava jiva lokasya sanstha bheda samahrita dharmasya hi animatasya vipaka parameshteyaso. Oh, this we had covered. So text number 10. Viduruvacha yathatha bahurupasya hareradbhut karmana Kalakyam Lakshanam Brahman Yatha Varnaya Na Prabhu. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my Lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. The complete universe is a manifestation of varieties of entities, beginning from the atoms up to the gigantic universe itself. And all is under the control of the Supreme Lord in his form of Kal, or eternal time. The controlling time has different dimensions in relation to particular physical embodiments. There is a time for atomic dissolution and a time for universal dissolution. There is a time for the annihilation of the body of the human being, and there is a time for the annihilation of the universal body. Also, growth, development, resultant actions all depend on the time factor. Vidura wanted to know in detail the different physical manifestations and their times of annihilation. So his first question was how Brahmaji does the creation, all the three worlds and the 14 planetary systems. And now he's asking about the time factor. How does that work? Maitreya Vacha Gunvyati Karakaro Nirvishesho Pratishtita Purushastad Upadanam Atmanam Lilya Srijat. Maitreya said, eternal time is a primeval source of interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as an instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. The impersonal time factor is the background of the material manifestation as an instrument of the Supreme Lord. It is an ingredient of assistance offered to material nature. No one knows where time began and where it ends, and it's only time which can keep a record of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material manifestation. This time factor is a material cause of creation, and therefore is a self-expansion of the personality of Godhead. Time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. Kalo aham, Kalo asmi, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, time I am. So here, about the time. The time is the impersonal, time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. Because with time, everything is controlled, everything changes, and it's time only, and time is eternal, at least. Well, it's eternal in sense, in the material world, time is always there, spiritual world, time is there, but the influence of time is not there in the spiritual world. But time is there, everything changes with time, but here everything gets old. With the six changes happens for every living body, every living entity, the body of every living entity. Birth, it grows, it maintains for some time, it produces offsprings, and it dwindles and it vanishes. It all happens with time. So time controls everything actually, and time is what? Instrument of the Supreme Lord. It's in the hand of Supreme Lord. The time factor is also explained by modern men in various ways. Some accept it almost as it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in Hebrew literature, time is accepted in the same spirit as a representation of God. It is stated therein, God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. Metaphysically, time is distinguished as absolute and real. Absolute time is continuous and is unaffected by the speed or slowness of material things. Time is astronomically and mathematically calculated in relation to the speed, change, and life of a particular object. Factually, however, time has nothing to do with the relativities of things. Rather, everything is shaped and calculated in terms of the facilities offered by time. Time is a basic measurement of the activity of our senses by which we calculate past, present, and future. But in factual calculation, time has no beginning and no end. So, time, actually, it is very strange thing. What is time? I mean, we cannot even put a finger on what is time. Okay, we look at the time in our clocks or in watches. What time is it right now? But how do we calculate time? What is time? It's hard to explain. And in the material world, time is relative. Just like on every planet, the time is relative. On Earth planet versus heavenly planet versus Brahmaloka, time calculation is different. Although on every planet, like Brahmaji lives for 100 years, and we also here live for 100 years. But Brahmaji's 100 years are way different than our 100 years. And similarly, an ant also lives for 100 years according to her time calculation. From our perspective, that is very little. Just like for dogs, uh, they live for 100 years, technically, but their life is multiplied by 7. Whenever we say it's a 1 year old dog, it's actually 7 years old according to human calculation. Just to put everything in the right perspective. But exactly, what is time? So Earth is rotating around the sun and moon is rotating around the earth. So our sages had calculated the time the moon takes to go around earth. That is 1 day. Something like that. How exact calculation is what they have given. But again, that's a very vague definition. But this is how they have calculated, they have given the um, calculation or the length of time, the span of time. And actually, when we'll see, I think in this chapter only, or maybe later, when the time calculations are given, how small a time, I think the smallest is Truti. Truti, that is the word Truti technically. And then it further it goes, and it goes all the way to life cycle of Brahmaji. For the material universe, that is the biggest time period. But it's funny how the calculations are done. And one calculation is for Nimish. Nimish is the time taken for the blink of an eye. So that's also calculated. And Vidurji is asking, and Maitre Muni is going to reply everything. Chanakya Pandit says that even a slight fraction of time cannot be purchased with millions of dollars. Of course, he must have said millions of rupees or millions of gold coins. Or proper, for our understanding, he said millions of dollars. And therefore, even a moment of time lost without profit must be calculated as the greatest loss in life. Time is not subject to any form of psychology, nor are the moments objective realities in themselves, but they are dependent on particular experiences. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami concludes that the time factor is intermixed with the activities, actions, and reactions of the external energy of the Lord. The external energy or material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor as the Lord Himself. And that is why material nature appears to have produced so many wonderful things in the cosmic manifestation. So material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor. So that's why the time or duration of different yogas are given, time duration of day and night is given. Everything is calculated in terms of time, but what exactly is time? Nobody can pinpoint. But that is an instrument for Krishna to control material nature. Text 12. Vishwam vai brahma tanmatram sansitam Vishnu mayaya Ishvaren parichinnam kalin avyakta murtina. This cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kal, which is the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Lord. It is situated as an objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Vishnu. As stated previously by Narad before Vyasadeva, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagwan Ivitaraha. This manifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else beyond or besides the Lord. It appears so because of its being separated from the Lord by means of Kal. It is something like the tape recorded voice of a person who is now separated from the voice. As a tape recording is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and it appears separate by means of Kala. The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits its impersonal features so much adored by impersonalist philosophers. It's very, very technical words and the purport. So Kal, Prabhupada gives an example, something like tape recorded voice of a person who's now separated from the voice. So if I record my voice, like we always listen, or sometimes we listen to this lecture in YouTube. So the voice is there, but it's not me, and it is me at the same time. Again, the word time is there. So so this time factor is instrument of the Lord to control this material world. It's Krishna and it's not Krishna at the same time. This is way to understand it. Yathedanim tathagre cha paschadapi etadaidrisham. This cosmic manifestation is as it is now. It was the same in the past, and it will continue in the same way in the future. There is a systematic schedule for the perpetual manifestation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Bhutva gramam imam krishnam avasham prakriter vashat. As it is created now and as it will be destroyed later on, so also it existed in the past and again will be created, maintained, and destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, the systematic activities of the time factor are perpetual and eternal and cannot be stated to be false. The manifestation is temporary and occasional, but it's not false as claimed by the Mayavadi philosophers. So the creation, dissolution, maintenance, it will happen again and again. So according to Vedic scriptures, the time factor is both cyclical and linear. According to other scriptures, the time is only linear. Linear means it just keeps on going straight forward. So whatever is happening now, it has never happened before. But according to this verse, time factor is cyclical and linear. So cyclical in the sense, Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga, it rotates. But then it goes further because 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. So suppose we take first day of Brahma. So first Manu came, and in that Manu's reign, there are 71 Chaturyugas. So time is going in cycles in that Manu's lifetime. So that Manu leaves the body, and the second Manu takes over, and then the second Manu's 71 Chaturyugas. Time goes in cycle. Then time goes further up, third Manu cycle, 71 Chaturyugas. So this is how, according to Vedic calculation, this is how the time is cyclical and linear at the same time. Cyclical in the sense the same thing happens, same manifestation, maintenance, and annihilation. It will keep on happening. It's not like it's only manifests or creates once, maintains for some time, and destroyed, and that's it. It's the end of it. No, it again happens. Bhuta bhuta praliyate. It's going to happen again and again and again and again. Why it happens again and again? Because that's how Krishna has arranged to give a chance to an opportunity for all the living entities to go through this cycle and come to the senses, get rectified, and get out of this cycle. If it was just a linear time, means we appear, we maintain for some time, and then we disappear. Means then there is no logic of why some entities appear as human beings and why some entities appear as animals and plants and insects and birds. So they maintain for some time. So those who follow the laws of the Lord, fine, they'll go back. Those who do some pious activities, they'll go to Swargaloka. Those who do impious or sinful activities, they'll go to Narkloka. But do they ever get a chance again to rectify themselves who went to the Narkloka? According to linear time theory, no. So they're just stuck there in a limbo and wait till the judgment day. Until the judgment day, they have no other option but just to suffer. So that's not how the plan of Krishna is. Krishna is merciful. He wants to give opportunities to the rebellious souls to come back to him, to get rectified here and come back. So that is only possible in the cyclical time. So cyclical and linear. So actually, the Vedic literatures, Vedic scriptures are so vast, so they have covered every aspect of life, every aspect of one's existence in the material world. But the other scriptures, they take some part of Vedic text and they just dwell upon it. That's it. They don't teach the whole thing. And that's why those scriptures are not, well, they are complete because they're part and parcel of Vedas, but they're not as complete as the Vedas are, or Vedic scriptures are. Text 14. Sargo nav avidhastasya prakrito vakritastu yaha kala dravya gunarasya trividha prati sankramaha. There are 9 different kinds of creation besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interactions of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements, and the quality of one's work. The scheduled creations and annihilations take place in terms of the supreme will. There are other creations due to interactions of material elements which take place by the intelligence of Brahma. Later, these will be more explicitly explained. At present, only preliminary information is given. The 3 kinds of annihilations are: first, due to the scheduled time of the annihilation of the entire universe; second, due to a fire which emanates from the mouth of Ananda; third, due to one's qualitative actions and reactions. So, Prabhupada is saying this all will be explained later on. Text 15. Adiyasastu mahata sargo gunveshamyam atmana dvitiyastvam tvahamo yatra dravya jnana kriyodaya. Of the 9 creations, the first one is a creation of the Mahatattva, or the sum total of the material ingredients, wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego is generated, in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities arise. So we had studied in little detail all this process of creation. Now, Maitreya Muni is going in a little more details about there are 9 creations. So first creation is the creation of Mahatattva, which is there, and when it is manifested, it's called Pradhan. When it is unmanifested, it's called Mahatattva. The first emanation from the Supreme Lord, from material creation, is called the Mahatattva. The interaction of the material modes is a cause of false identification, or the sense that a living being is made of material elements. This false ego is the cause of identifying the body and the mind with the soul proper. Material resources and the capacity and knowledge to work are all generated in the second term of creation after the Mahatattva. Gyan indicates the senses, which are sources of knowledge, and their controlling deities. Work entails the working organs and their controlling deities. All these are generated in the second creation. So, I guess it's enough technical knowledge today. And there are more technical information given later on as we go further in this third canto. So I guess I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have a question from one statement from Srila Prabhupada. He states that whatever state the mind is in at the time of death, that state you will attain. So let's suppose somebody throughout his life, I mean, from a very childhood, he picked up the spiritual practices and Krishna consciousness, and at the end of the stage, like when his death is on the door, and he thought about something, something or the other about dogs or something. So he will attain that life, even though he has throughout his life he has given effort to attain that, spirituality.
Okay, first of all, Prabhupada didn't say that. That is stated by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So what actually it is not the state of mind like you're saying, just like a passing thought. That's not what it is. Whatever consciousness one has developed throughout his life. There's a difference between consciousness. Consciousness is a state of mind which is constant, which it has become. For example, our next body is actually decided in this body only, not not just of a mere passing thought at the time of death. Why? Because if somebody is very prone to, say, eating meat, and he loves eating meat, so his consciousness is of like an animal, or he has developed that consciousness of animal. Maybe some previous life sanskaras are there, some because of his association in this lifetime, his independence is there. So he has developed that consciousness of an animal. So definitely he'll get the animal life next life, animal body next life. Because that consciousness will guide what he will do, what he will think, and it will become, the sanskars will become stronger and stronger. So that is why, and then at the time of death, he will, chances are he will not think of anything else. So when we chant and when we do other devotional activities, so our consciousness, now this is something we are not doing according to our consciousness. This is something induced by the devotees or some sanskars we had from previous lifetime and some agyat sukriti we had done. So our consciousness is getting changed, getting altered, getting purified. So until we really purify, become complete Krishna conscious persons. So what will happen at the time of death? So we have some consciousness and we have done some bhakti. So sum total will be, we will get at least human life, but our consciousness will be better than what we had before. So it's a chance for making more progress. But no, it's not just a mere passing thought at the time of death that will define our next body. That's not going to happen. It's a consciousness that we have developed throughout our life.
Okay. So it's partial, it's not fully. Uh, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
one more question I have. It's I have heard from my parents, and it's about in when the person dies in family, and if their the other relatives wants to know what life they have attained in the next life, they basically what they do is they put a kind of katha, Garud Purana katha for 7 days, and they place the asthis of the person who died, and it takes some shape in that asthi. When they put it on the earth, it takes a shape of either bird or something. It gives a sign of what is the next life of that person. Uh, do you know about it, Prabhuji? Is it true or is it just a myth?
I have not heard in detail. I have heard here and there some rumors like that. Nobody has really explained it to me, but uh, the way a person leaves the body, that can at least tell if the person went to hellish planets or he was very sinful, or the person was pious or person was devotee. So if somebody dies and he was very, from his expressions, he was very afraid at that time, and he passes stool and urine, means he was a sinful person, and that's why Yamdutas had come to take him. And he could see the Yamdutas. The Yamdutas, they're not good looking, and they grab this person's soul and take him out of the body, and person really gets fearful. From the story of Ajamil, we'll read that when we come to that point. And if the person leaves the body very peacefully, no stool, urine, not much of distress at the time of death, means he was a pious person, and he must have gone to heavenly planets or a better body. And if the person leaves the body, I mean, he's maybe doing kirtan or chanting and in dham, and peaceful, not just peaceful, he's happy, he's blissful. Then he is gone to Vaikuntha because Vishnu Dutas have come to take him. And another symptom of a person who was a devotee and he's gone to Vaikuntha means his body remains soft for a very long time. Otherwise, the body hardens up as soon as the soul leaves the body. But for a devotee, the body remains very soft because the body has, if not completely become spiritual, it has become spiritual to a certain extent because of all the spiritual practices he has performed. But I don't know about that taking the form of a bird or something like that. I cannot explain because I don't know in detail.
Even Prabhuji, I don't believe it, but some I think my grandfather did it for his mother. So, but and my mother talks about it. So, but because I've never seen it, so I don't believe it, because you should believe when you see it from your eyes only. But this is the ritual.
That too, and moreover,
Thought of asking.
I haven't heard the whole details of it, so I'm not in a position to explain.
But thank you so much, Prabhuji, for explaining the
You're
first and second. Thank you.
I have also not heard anything like this, Prabhuji.
okay.
Prabhuji, I have
Hare
an
Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat
Very
Pranam. Prabhuji, what
interesting.
Srila Prabhuji said, in fact, I
Hare
have
Krishna.
seen in the tribal community in Odisha, so I've seen it. In fact, they have sewn it on a mold of atta that big. But then, in fact, the validity of it, you rightly said, in fact, we don't know much about it. But in fact, I'd seen that they sewn it so that Kriya happens on 13th day, and we were smaller, so we were not allowed first into the room. But then with parents, we went in, they saw the footprint marks and all. But I don't know, probably honestly, like you said, in fact, what's the validity of it? But I can recall the tribal community in our state, Orissa, they do it.
There must be some truth behind it, but exactly what it is, I don't know. Another point, actually, even if I find out if the person became bird or a tree or an animal, then what? Then the question is, then what? So what? So I better rectify my life. I better change myself.
True, Prabhuji.
Somebody else was making some comment. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah,
Hare
actually, I have an experience of one, my mother-in-law. When she died, we were just chanting on her ears because at that time she was not able to speak and she went. But all of a sudden, we saw tears coming on her from her eye, and the louder we were chanting in her ears, the more tears was coming from her eye. And as soon as we kept her in front of the tulsi plant, and she left her body, after that her whole body was, she was looking so beautiful that we don't know, means we haven't seen her, and she died all sindoor and everything. She was looking very, very, very beautiful. The whole night we were looking at her and we were not feeling any scare, and that was the first time I have seen body, dead body. But we touched her, it was like uh, that experience I cannot explain you, Prabhuji, but we were not fearful, and she was just glowing as if she's a newlywed woman. That was really
Mhm.
nice experience, and that day I realized the power of chanting. That, oh my God, means she was just not responding anything, but her tears was coming from her eye, and that was very nice to see.
Yeah, there have been incidents with proper disciples. Once one disciple, when he was leaving the body, for proper disciples or the followers of Prabhupada, I'm not saying only, those initiated by Prabhupada, Prabhupada disciples. Any follower of Prabhupada, and this devotee, when he was leaving the body, he or she, I forgot, and just before he left the body, he said, "Oh, Prabhupada, you have come." Like he was looking at Prabhupada, Prabhupada had come, and then he just left the body, and Prabhupada took him.
Wow, Haribol.
So everything is possible. We just have to practice and practice. That's all. Do our sadhana properly and services. So I guess we can stop here. So tomorrow there won't be any class. We'll have the next class on. For you, it will be Sunday. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.